Hello, I'm Zuziak, and today we'll be looking at critical thinking for retail buying students using Excel to parse a data set. The ISTE standards for educators that we will evaluate during this demonstration include learner elements. We will explore a proven practice through Excel that leverages technology to improve student learning. A leadership standpoint includes sharing fashion-specific content relevant to coursework, thus enabling student learning. From a designer perspective, we will exhibit the importance of Excel in fashion careers through the formatting of this tutorial. And from a facilitator standpoint, teaching student relevant content and necessary technology simultaneously. In regard to Excel, Excel is a Microsoft Office program that is used globally, readily available, generally user-friendly, and enables sorting, filtering, and sorting of data. Today we'll create pivot tables. We will organize data and create visual representations. Both of these appeal to both analytic and visual learners. Buyers and buyer assistants evaluate inventory, which is characterized by the term unit. They can evaluate inventory from a last week standpoint, a month-to-date standpoint, and an on-hand standpoint. On-hand refers to merchandise that is currently available both in the store and in storage at a warehouse. Buyers and buyer assistants can also evaluate the sales and performance of a product to determine how well or how poorly it is selling, and assess promotions and discounts, which may help sell the merchandise faster. Sell-through is a term that is used in regard to the forecast, when inventory will actually run out or you will sell through all of your product assortment. We can also use Excel to assess the buys and incoming orders, which is the expectation or the arrival of additional merchandise of the same product. In regard to building a pivot table, I will begin by providing a data set. Some of the information that we will utilize right away is this concept of department, which I will explain in a moment, as well as description. Excel is currently working on a drag and drop format, which makes it easy to insert values where you'd like to insert them. Some values are variables that will change throughout the course of answering our target questions, which I will present momentarily. This data set was created for buyers and buyers assistants of a major department store in the Southeast. I'll review this information very briefly so you can orient yourself with what we'll be discussing in the future. Okay, this is men's category for October of an unspecified year. Our department is a numeric value that is associated with the different levels of brands within the store. Department number 112 is for Ivy Crew, which is our store brand, and number 112 is explicitly denoted for shirts of the Ivy Crew brand. Okay, 113 is anything related to Dockers, and the numbers correspond likewise. Number 118 here is Ivy Crew for trousers and pants. Additional information in this table include the last week's units sold. So on a per style basis, how many units of merchandise were sold? A month to date, or MTD units sold, show us how many of each of these products were sold from a month to date perspective. Our current on hand is inventory that is a combination of both in-store availability and warehouse distribution availability. The weeks and age is how old we have had it in the store. Okay, our GLP is our store list price, or how much we are selling it for. A current POS, or a promotion on sale, is how much of a discount we are currently offering. Some of these are in a percentage, and some of them are actual numerics. The on-order number is how much inventory we have placed for additional units of this merchandise. This item right here is looking at 184,128 units, where some of these items we are not ordering anymore for any particular reason. Before we can begin assessing any of this data, we need to start by building our pivot table. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the bottom right-hand corner of this cell, and I'm going to highlight over all of this. I'm just dragging my mouse over all of the cells. I'm then going to hit the Insert button. I'm going to hit the Pivot Table button, and that's going to pull up a new box with information. I've already selected my table, and I want my information to populate in a new worksheet. So I'm going to hit OK. From here, I am going to select a few filters of information that I am going to use to make some comparisons. The first cell that I'm going to populate is the filters category, and this is going to be the main component by which I'm filtering all data. I want to go by department, so I'm going to drag department into the filters, and that's going to populate up here at the top of my pivot table. The next thing I want to look at is product description, because while I can offer what department is, unless I know what I'm looking for, none of the data is going to make much sense. So I'm going to press and hold, and I'm going to drag description down to my rows cell. So I have my department and all the descriptions came in. The next value that we're going to populate is this sum values area. We'll populate the sum values after we review the next slide, which is going to give us our critical thinking question. Now that we have the basis of our pivot table set up with our departments and our descriptions in place, we can evaluate our critical thinking question. Our first question is, how can we reduce costs? How many months of inventory is available for Department 112 Ivy Crew shirts? What we want to do is determine how soon we're going to run out of this product. What we're going to do is compare our current on hand and our month to units sold. Month to units sold is going to show how many units have sold this month, and current on hand is going to show us how many we still have to sell. Dividing the units sold number by the on hand number is going to illustrate approximately how many weeks we have until we run out of this product. In Excel, division is called a quotient. So when we get to the quotient formula bar, we'll need to remember to type this in. Okay, we are going to use the function, and it's going to look something like function quotient of on hand, which will be our numerator, and then our month to date as denominator. We'll repeat this for all rows. So now that we're looking at our pivot table again, we know that we are going to be comparing our month to units sold and our current on hand. Those two items are going to go into our values. So I'm going to press and hold on month to date units and drop it in values. And I'm going to press and hold on current on hand and drag that to values. So now I have two totals, okay, and I am still looking at all merchandise. The question was looking specifically at all Department 112, so I can come up here and toggle that I want only merchandise available in Department 112. And it will give me a reduced set. Question 1 wants us to figure out how many weeks we have before we will run out of merchandise with our current on-hand availability. In order to do that, we're going to have to divide the number of current on hand by the month-to-date units sold. In order to do this, we're going to select the cell that is immediately next to the current on hand. We're going to hit f of x, which is a function, and we're going to click on quotient. If quotient does not populate in yours, you can type quotient up there and it will reduce so that it is available. I'm going to hit OK, and my numerator here, the big number, is going to be how many I have on hand. This is my total. The denominator is going to be my month-to-date units sold. I want to determine how many months of inventory I have available, so I'm going to use my inventory based on what I have sold, and I'm going to hit a number. Approximately 3 months worth of inventory of this product. Excel will automatically round to the closest integer, so you will not see any remainders, you will not see any decimal points. So our number here, 3, may be a little bit low for our inventory on hand, but it is an absolute solid number that is reliable based on what we have. I will perform the same identical operation for the remaining cells. I will click on the cell next to my sum of current on hand. I will click function, quotient, OK, numerator, denominator, OK. I will click on the next cell, function, quotient, OK. Numerator is on hand, denominator is units sold, OK. Click on the next cell, function, quotient, OK. Current on hand, units sold. I'm going to go ahead and add a title here. So that I have all of this information uniform. What this data set tells us is how many months of inventory we have if we place no new orders and if we continue to sell at the current pace that we are selling. Next thing I'm going to do is make this data appealing for our visual learners. In the bottom right hand corner, I'm going to press and hold and drag my mouse over all of this content. Then I'm going to go over to the recommended chart, and I'm going to make sure I click the All Charts button, and I'm just going to do a column. And that's going to pull in data for my visual folks. And I can see my sum of month units sold for my Ivy Crew shirts are represented in blue, and the sum of current on hand is represented in orange. When assessing inventory, this is an important comparison to be making. Typically, the merchandise timeline for any given store on any given product falls within a 60, 90, or 120-day window. So if we were going to apply that logic to this chart here, knowing that we have 2 months of inventory, we will sell through this product within our 60-day window. 2 of our products are going to sell out within our 90-day window. All of that fits within the good buying performance spectrum that is developed by the company in which retailers subscribe to. We are now going to move into question number 2 regarding can we reduce orders of merchandise. The question entails, what is the sell-through forecast for Department 112 Ivy Crew shirts if all orders are received today in the warehouse? So what we're looking to do is determine how soon we're going to run out of this product if we have all current on hand and all on order merchandise available today. We're going to use our month to date as a variable to determine this. So we're not just going to look at how quickly we are going to sell out of existing merchandise. We're going to look at combining the merchandise that is on order and is expected to deliver to our warehouse. In order to do this, we need to change a few variables in our data set and our pivot table. We're going to do a 2-step operation. We are first going to sum the on-order units and the current on-hand units, and then we're going to divide that by our month-to-date sales. So the first thing that I need to do with my pivot table is clean up some information. We have used this information. I am now going to delete this information. We're going to add in new information. Okay, I'm going to move my table a little bit out of the way. The table will change progressively as this information changes within the pivot table. The first thing we need to do is change our variables that we are going to be utilizing. I'm going to move over here to the variables, okay, and I'm going to remove this sum of month-to-date units. If you do a left click here, you can remove the field and it will remove from all information subsequently on the screen. I'm going to keep my current on-hand inventory and I'm going to add my on orders. This is going to give me the total of how many current merchandise units I have, either in store or in warehouse, and how many we have on order. The first thing I need to do here is I need to do a sum of total. So sum of total inventory is going to be able to tell me what my units are holistically. Adding the total units together can be done relatively easy using the auto sum key. You just click on the first one, click on your final cell, and then hit the auto sum button, and it will automatically add all of the numbers that you're wishing to add. This is the fastest way to add values in Excel. The next thing we need to do is we need to make room for our month-to-date numbers to come into the screen. I'm going to do a right click and I'm going to insert a new column here which will provide space for our month-to-date number to come in. I'm going to click on the pivot table to activate, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drop and drag, press and hold my month-to-date units into the values, and that's going to populate in here next. Since question number 2 is looking at a forecast of how many units and how many months we have available, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new label here, and we're going to call it forecast. And I'm going to make it look like all of my other labels. We have already done the sum for all of our inventory on hand and our on orders. In order to determine the forecast of how many months of merchandise we will have available if all deliveries arrive today, what we're going to do is we're going to do our quotient step again, and we're going to look at the sum total and also the month-to-date units. So in regard to forecast, I'm going to click on the forecast cell. I'm going to do my function, and I want a quotient. I want to divide again. And in this case, I'm doing my sum total as the numerator and my month to date as denominator, and it's going to give me 12 months. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do function quotient, and I want my sum total for numerator. I want my month to date denominator. The next one is function quotient. Okay, I'm going to select total. I'm going to select my denominator. Next one, I'm clicking function quotient. I want total in numerator. I want month to date in denominator, and hit OK. So from a critical thinking perspective, some of these items are still within the 90, 90, or 120 day market for having a good buy. This item right here shows that if we received all orders today, we would have 12 months worth of inventory. That's a little bit of a long life. Okay, some other things to consider is, where are you located? Our store is in the southeast. We have a very distinct winter and summer time. The summer is traditionally longer than the winter time. As a result of this, 12 months of polar fleece would probably not be an ideal buy. If we were going to make any recommendations to our buyer, we would recommend that we would reduce the incoming units of this item to cut this back to fall within the 30, 60, 90, 120 day mark. Right now we have plenty of merchandise on hand. We are selling very well, but if we are moving into summer season, then we're going to have a lot of polar fleece that we are not going to be able to unload in a relatively quick time. From a visual standpoint, looking at the chart, some of these other merchandise items are showing pretty much in accordance with what they should have, that none of these are too remarkably skewed in any one direction, with the exception of this polar fleece. As was discussed earlier in regard to this polar fleece item, we have approximately 1 month inventory selling at 20,000 units. We have 3 months on hand, and we are ordering a substantial amount more. We are ordering a full 9 months worth of merchandise. So again, the critical thinking question of, can we reduce inventory? Yes, we can reduce inventory. Can we save our company money by reduction of inventory? Yes, we can. Are we going to profit more than loss? We will profit more than loss by cutting our inventory. We will lose more if we continue to carry 12-month inventory of a polar fleece winter item during the summer months. So in summary, using Excel is a very critical tool for use in retail buying for inventory purposes. It's very quick, it's very straightforward. This demonstration introduced using a data set to create a pivot table and corresponding visual charts. We applied fashion industry relevant content to help students see the type of data they may be using in the future. We relied on critical thinking skills to demonstrate proper course of action regarding inventory cuts, and we utilized Excel as a tool to categorize data. I do hope that this tutorial has been beneficial and that you can utilize Excel a little bit better for creating pivot tables related to retail buying.